When you think of sovereign territory inside the United States, you think of foreign embassies in Washington, D.C., places where local police cannot enter, where taxes are completely void, and where the host nation has zero legal jurisdiction. But right now, in June 2026, there are 16 massive zones across North America where the federal government has quietly surrendered its own borders, where local police chiefs take orders from a Swiss private organization, and where the U.S. Constitution plays second fiddle to a corporate rulebook. American citizens are fiercely protective of their rights, their local laws, and their federal sovereignty. If the NFL commissioner tries to shut down a legal business outside an American stadium, he gets hit with a multi-million-dollar antitrust lawsuit before sunset. But FIFA is not the NFL. FIFA does not negotiate with the American legal system, it overwrites it. As the World Cup matches take place across the country this month, a terrifying legal reality is keeping city lawyers awake at night. This is the story of how a private sports cartel managed to carve out an untouchable, tax-free corporate dictatorship right inside the United States. Welcome back to Soccer Inc. Today, we break down the terrifying sovereign immunity agreements behind the 2026 World Cup and how local authorities completely lost control of their own cities. To understand how this legal colonization happened, we have to go back to the day the host city contracts were signed. When cities like Dallas, Miami, and New York begged FIFA to bring the 2026 tournament to their multi-billion-dollar venues, they thought they were signing a standard entertainment contract. They weren't. They were walking into a legal trap designed by some of the most aggressive corporate lawyers in Switzerland. As a non-negotiable requirement for hosting, FIFA demands what is known as sovereign tax immunity. Think about what that actually means. Over the course of this single month, FIFA is projected to extract close to $20 billion from corporate sponsorships, multi-million-dollar broadcasting packages, and elite ticket sales happening inside American stadiums. Under normal U.S. federal law, the IRS would be collecting a massive chunk of that revenue. But not this month. Every single dollar extracted from American consumers moves directly out of the country and straight into bank accounts in Zürich, completely untaxed, completely unaudited by the federal government. But the financial extraction is just the tip of the iceberg. The real shock is the legal liability waiver. If a local resident gets injured due to logistical negligence inside a World Cup stadium perimeter, or if a major security failure occurs due to crowd mismanagement, who gets sued? Not FIFA. The host contracts explicitly state that the local city governments and the stadium owners absorb 100% of the legal and civil liability. FIFA is legally ghost-like. They capture all the profit, take zero of the tax hit, and leave the local taxpayer to cover the cost of any disaster. It is an economic framework where an external private entity holds absolute power over public infrastructure, with zero accountability to the people who paid for it. If you think federal tax evasion is wild, look at what is happening directly outside the stadium gates this week. It's called the Clean Zone policy. FIFA sells exclusive marketing rights to massive global conglomerates like Coca-Cola, Visa, and Qatar Airways for hundreds of millions of dollars. To protect these investments, FIFA requires host cities to enforce a strict 2-mile exclusion perimeter around every single stadium venue. Inside this 2-mile clean zone, local American business laws are effectively suspended. If a local mom-and-pop sports shop, a family-owned diner, or an independent street vendor has been operating near MetLife Stadium or the Rose Bowl for 30 years, it doesn't matter. For the duration of this tournament, they are legally banned from selling any product, displaying any sign, or running any promotion that competes with FIFA's official partners. Local city councils are literally forced to use their own municipal police departments to enforce this corporate censorship. Local cops, paid by local taxpayers, are currently walking down American streets, forcing small business owners to take down their signs and stop selling merchandise, just to protect the advertising monopolies of foreign corporations. If an NFL franchise attempted this kind of local commercial suppression, the public outrage would destroy the league's reputation in a week. But because it's the World Cup, and because the city governments are bound by non-disclosure agreements and multi-million-dollar penalty clauses, the local politicians just nod and stay silent. FIFA created a commercial police state in broad daylight, and the local government is acting as the muscle. When you create a massive corporate fortress that operates completely outside the local regulatory loop, you don't just alienate small businesses, you create the perfect playground for unregulated global capital. Because the federal government cannot deeply audit the internal operations and corporate hospitality networks inside these stadium perimeters this month, a massive blind spot has opened up in the sports betting market. Sports betting has exploded across the United States over the last few years through highly regulated networks like DraftKings and FanDuel. Every dollar is tracked, every bettor is verified, and the state collects its share of the revenue. But the World Cup is a $50 billion global gambling ecosystem. A massive percentage of that money moves through offshore accounts, unregulated crypto platforms, and international syndicates operating far outside the reach of the FBI or the IRS. By forcing American venues to cut ties with local regulatory bodies and state commissions for 30 days, FIFA didn't just build a wall to protect its own sponsors. They accidentally built a sovereign sanctuary where massive, untraceable international sports betting markets can influence the fan data, the corporate hospitality suites, and the economic landscape of the matches without a single eye from American law enforcement watching them. The legal fortress is ironclad, and the local authorities are completely blind to the true volume of money moving through their own arenas. So what happens when the tournament ends in July and FIFA packs up its billions and flies back to Switzerland? The terrifying truth is, they aren't fully leaving. The legal precedents being set this month, the tax loops, the clean zone enforcements, the complete bypassing of local government authority are already being converted into a long-term business blueprint. Private equity partners and multi-billionaire stadium owners have spent this entire month watching FIFA generate 20 Super Bowls worth of revenue without paying a dime in public taxes, and they want a permanent piece of that action. The sovereign corporate zones built for the 2026 World Cup were never meant to be temporary tents. They were a massive test run, a proof of concept to show Wall Street how to bypass the standard limitations of American sports leagues. The legal dictatorship didn't just hijack 16 stadiums for a summer. It permanently broke the traditional power structure of American sports entertainment. But as FIFA protects its official billions inside these ironclad legal walls, the millions of fans who were locked out by Ticketmaster's predatory pricing are fighting back on the streets. And they are doing it through a highly organized underground shadow economy that is currently outsmarting FIFA's legal team at every single corner. But the details of that massive counterfeit counterattack are for the next video.